Welcome back. This is episode 7 of the bonus stage, and this is our Nintendo DSi special. Me and Tom got our brand new, non-shiny Nintendo DSi's. I'm going to be talking about them for a little bit. We're also going to review a couple of really cool DS games that came out a while ago. We're going to review Rhythm Heaven and Pokemon Platinum.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about Dr.Mario in the DSi store because Tom foolishly sold away 500 of his valuable free points on that. And we're also going to take a look at the free Opera browser for the Nintendo DSi as well. So, right off the bat, the Nintendo DSi. This is the third generation of the DS.
This is a big one.
It's actually, I gotta say, I really didn't expect it to be good, and I'm pretty surprised. I actually really like this handheld unit. I didn't think they could improve much on the DS Lite, considering that was one of my favorite thing to play games on. But
all in moderation, depending on what you call as improvements. I mean, a lot of people complained about the lack of a Game Boy Advance port.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people. The only real game I wanted to play was Harvest Moon because I still love that game. But there are a few like Metroid games that I really liked. What the hell was it called?
Also, a lot of people
Mission?
who have Guitar Hero for the DS.
Yeah,
they're going to be missing out because it requires the Game Boy Advance port for the, I guess the
keystrokes. Yeah, that I don't know. I guess if you have Guitar Hero for the DS, you're screwed, and
yeah.
And you can't even, if this is the only system you have, you can't play that game on it.
I'm not even sure if it works for that one, just because of the way it's set up.
That's true. I think it works for the DS Fat, as now it's been dubbed, but I guess that kind of sucks, because that game was pretty expensive for the most part. But yeah. Talking about the DSi, the basic, the two things that so far have been marketed on this thing are the cameras. There's a camera right here in the center, right next to the microphone, and there's a camera on the outside of the system itself. And this basically, in any commercial I've seen, are the biggest selling points about this thing.
Yeah.
And the cameras really aren't that special. They're, 0.3 megapixels?
Yeah, they're not that great of quality.
The camera in my iPhone is better.
Yeah.
So.
It seems really hokey, but you can actually have some fun with it if you're just bored dicking around. A lot like the commercials. Jeff and I have done that once or twice where we're just bantering each other.
You're so ugly and stuff. And it's actually, it provided quite a few good laughs.
Yeah.
But, aside from that, the photo editing software is really pedestrian.
Not that great. It's kind of kid-oriented.
Yeah.
Again, it's really kind of hokey. It's just something they poorly slapped together just to get something else onto the DSi to make people buy it.
Yeah. And, anybody who's... what the hell was it called back in the Game Boy? The Game Boy Camera.
Yeah.
And they had that smiley around Game Boy Camera.
Or whatever.
That was actually pretty cool. I remember playing that in elementary school, and it was like...
Aside from the lack of color, it's probably about the same camera.
Yeah.
Really?
it was fun. I don't know why.
That, but you also had a printer for that one too, so you could print off the little stickers and shit. And slap
Nintendo has some weird friggin' peripherals, but the Game Boy Camera was just to contain. Everybody would just hover around the person who owned the Game Boy Camera, and at our time it was Jesse Lapine who had it, and we were just in the back where all our coats were in grade 4, just screwing around with the DSi camera. It was just contagious. It was kind of weird how fun something so stupid could be.
Yeah,
but
it's not Nintendo makes money off of.
Yeah, so Nintendo makes money off everything, as we know. But and the other thing in here is the sound editing software, which is there's a SD card slot right here in the side,
which handles up to 8 gigs, I think. So
yeah,
which isn't bad. It's a lot better than when the PSP came out. It can only handle up to 1 gig.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid. There is room for memory expansion. However, the biggest gripe about that being to get anything off the card, you have to you got to go into your system settings and then pull it onto you can't play anything off the card.
No.
You have to pull it onto the actual internal memory on the system first.
However, that's not really
and then play
that
it off
big
there.
of an issue.
It's kind of a pain in the ass for something that is pretty easy to use for the most part. It's kind of a pain in the ass. But
there'll probably be a firmware update later on.
Yeah.
As you know, Nintendo updates the Wii on a regular basis, so probably expect something for the DSi as well. It's all just what they think are the issues. They'll end up changing them as they go, really.
Yeah, this thing's only been out for a month, and there's really nothing wrong with it. Really, there's nothing wrong with it.
The developers will more than likely have issues, things they couldn't have finished or fixed before the release date. So,
talking about the good things about this console, the screens are bigger.
A whole 1/4 of an inch bigger.
Yeah, but you know what?
It doesn't sound like much, but when you're playing games like Advance Wars and Fire Emblem,
it's noticeable.
It's a noticeable difference. It gives you a chance to see all the little details that are on the system. It's just that much more, really.
And if we had them side by side and we were looking at them, and the screens from the original DS, the DS Fat, and the DSi, the screens are almost the same, but the quality is like so improved. It's like the colors and everything just like jump out at you, and they're a little bit brighter, these screens.
You get 5 levels of brightness now, which is a big boost. The only problem is the battery lasts like 5 hours less than the DS Lite, but given the ability to essentially in the middle of gameplay hold select, push the volume button, it changes the brightness of the system itself. You can change your brightness on the fly in the middle of gaming. You don't have to save, turn it off, go back into the menu, change the brightness, turn the system off, turn it back on, go back into your game.
There have been a few times when I'm playing like Layton or something, and I wanted to continue playing, but I get that red light that says, oh, your battery's done in about an hour, and then I just turn the brightness down and it goes back to blue, and I've got an extra probably couple hours of gameplay out of it, which is actually a pretty good option.
And on that note, one of the things that I was really happy with is they changed the power tab from like the pale, like that lime green, to a blue, so that way you notice the difference when it goes from an okay battery to a dying battery, because I could never tell. Granted, I have a problem with colors, but
you're colorblind.
Only to a certain degree, but like I had a real problem telling the difference. I always had people going, your battery's gonna die, but with this one I can really see the difference. Like it goes from a blue to a red to a blinking red, which is like noticeable. It's really out there, really helpful. Yeah,
it's Nintendo usually does put little perks like that in that always make it easier to know when.
They changed the AC adapter again, though.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep doing that. I mean, what now? It's like instead of being really small, it's now nano small.
Went from a 5.2 volt on the DS Fat to a 4.6 volt. So.
And I don't understand why they keep changing that. There's really not. It's not necessary to change it at all. The adapter is like what, a hair smaller than the one on the DS Lite.
Yeah.
What's the point?
So
I don't get
it. And they cut it off on the sides and put it on the top.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean, you get it in the case, so just don't lose it, because I don't know where the hell you could buy one. I don't know if there's any third-party adapters.
There's third-party ones out already.
Oh, okay, well that's good.
When I bought mine, there was actually one that was already out, and I bought mine the day of release.
So, people wondering about backwards compatibility. It does play regular DS games fine. The thing is, eventually there are going to be DS games that come out that have DSi-specific content.
Yeah.
So you would need a DSi to unlock that content, and then eventually, later on down the line...
Yeah, you can still play it on the DS Lite. It's just going to be you're not going to get the full deal. It's kind of like people who are playing games on the N64 who didn't have the expansion pack, kind of like back, with Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
You couldn't get the whole game, but you got a little bit of it. It's that kind of deal. You're going to get some of the game, but if you want to really get the most out of your game, you're going to have to shell out the extra, I don't know, $125 compared to what you can buy a DS Lite for now.
Yeah.
And buy the DSi.
But, I mean, at most, at GameStop in the States or EB Games up here, you trade in your DS Lite, you get $75 towards this, which basically turns this into exactly what a DS Lite costs, about $125, $130 with like after taxes, which isn't a bad price. So. Then eventually later on down the line, there's going to be DSi-specific games that you could only play on a DSi that I would assume
the most out
use the camera and
much
stuff like that.
WarioWare snapped or touched or...
It's I think it's WarioWare Snap or something, but it's a DSi exclusive game, a DSi download game that's on the DSi store. That is a WarioWare game. You gotta you get the outline of, you gotta put your own face in there, and it's I don't own it. It looks kind of fun, but it looks a little bit too pricey.
That's okay. My brother has it. He said it's actually not a bad game. He said the fun part is it records what you do, so you can go back and see yourself flailing around.
That's kind of cool, I guess.
So it was kind of fun, but it's not a game that I'd like to pay for, so I have to put my DS on the table in the middle of public and start flailing and bobbing my head for no reason. It's
bad enough that sometimes you have to talk to your game, and if you're in public doing that, like I remember when I first got Nintendogs, and I was like, I can't play this game anywhere but in the privacy of my own home, because I don't want to be, doing baby talk to a virtual dog in my DS if I'm hanging around a McDonald's or something like that. I'm going to look like an asshole.